Hello everyone, this is Eflex and welcome back to another A Producer's Approach video. So in this video we're going to be looking at Au5 and Fractal song Pavonine. So if you guys don't know the structure on these songs, basically I kind of do an intro and personal backstory section. Then after that I do a breakdown and analysis section. And then after that I do an outro section to kind of sum up my thoughts on the song and my overall opinions. And that's basically the typical structure of these Producer's Approach videos. So today we're going to be going over Au5 and Fractal song Pavonine. So if you guys don't know Au5 and Fractal, both of them are really good artists. Unfortunately, I don't think Fractal makes music anymore, but Au5 still does. And both of them, at least for me, I found both of them through Monstercat. I think Au5 originally came on with this song called Sweet, which was kind of like a mega collab with a couple other artists on Monstercat, and then eventually Au5 and Fractal would, collaborate on songs and release them on Monstercat. And they would they also had their individual releases, but when they collabed together on their releases on Monstercat, oh man, it was like pure magic. They created this EP that I'll probably break down in the future, like certain songs off the EP, because it's called Secret Weapon. And that EP was kind of the inspiration, at least for me, when Maisong and I were creating our Diversity EP on Au5. So for me, I've taken a lot of inspiration from Au5 and Fractal. Even though their style of music's totally different than mine, like the inspiration of, what they did together when they collabed is just kind of like, you can't really match it. Like there are quite a few artists that collab, but I don't know, to me there's not a better dynamic duo than Au5 and Fractal collabing. It's just like a classic thing you would see on Monstercat. And, back in the day when they would, collab and release songs together, once you saw Au5 and Fractal, no matter what the name of the song was, it was probably going to be good. So they have pretty high regards for me. And what made them so unique is that Au5 and Fractal, they both have like a unique sound, but their sounds were so similar, like in terms of their style and stuff, that like when they collabed together, it just meshed and worked really well. But separately, like they had their own kind of distinct styles, but you could tell like, the similarities in certain things when they had their own individual releases. So it was always really cool when they collaborate together. And this is one of their, I think, last EPs that they released together. I don't remember what the name of this EP actually was, but I know the other song on the EP was called Ison, I believe. And Pavonine is kind of like the kind of upbeat glitch hop song that both of them made on the EP. So this song is definitely going to be awesome to break down, but a lot of the sound design, I'm not going to be exactly sure how they made it, but I'll probably, be pretty enthusiastic about the different sounds and rhythms being played in this song. So again, Pavonine is a glitch hop song, so I believe the BPM is going to be around 110 beats per minute, or BPM. So that's definitely more of the traditional tempo for glitch hop. So this is Au5 and Fractal's song Pavonine, and let's start this breakdown. All right, I mean, 20 seconds in and you already hear so much stuff already. You have that kind of vocal sample starting, and then you kind of have some percussion coming in, and then you kind of had like a chime sound playing in the background with some other things playing, which is really nice. Just kind of right off the bat, they're kind of starting that kind of groove, and you already kind of know how clean the mix is. Just starting the song. So definitely, has that kind of glitch hop kind of rhythm feel to it. And yeah, we'll kind of dive into the song, and I'll break down as many sounds that I hear as possible, because I know there's going to be a lot going on in the song. So let's continue. All right, so there's a lot going on. So there's a lot of glitching effects. You kind of hear the percussion rhythm. It's like a traditional glitch hop rhythm, but there's a lot more activity from, I guess, like the kick drum and snare. So it's a little more of a complex rhythm. There are various different kind of vocal chop samples kind of thrown in there, with a lot of glitching effects. And then you kind of heard that wub. That's kind of like an Au5 kind of fractal wub that they used probably in 2015. It could be the introduction of Serum, but it also could be like a either an in-house plugin or a third-party plugin like Massive. But I would imagine it might be kind of like an in-house plugin being used to make a wub. I'm not sure if Au5 and Fractal use the same DAW. They don't have to make a collab, but it's a little bit easier when they can. But definitely, that rhythm section, like there's so many different vocal shot and samples kind of happening. There's little intricate sounds added here and there. That's very much an Au5 and Fractal song and glitch hop song. While glitch hop songs, normally add in a lot of different sounds, Au5 and Fractal, you can kind of tell like how they added all those different sounds with like, certain lead, like a lead synth playing, and then maybe like a kind of a chime arp lead sound playing in the background, having all those different components kind of playing all at the same time, but also having the percussion kind of shining through. So there's like a lot of things going on, but they're able to balance all those sounds kind of in that one section really nicely. So as you notice in this section, it kind of, transitioned from kind of the glitchy kind of section and intro section into now what it's going to build up with more sound design sounds. So the sounds initially sound a lot lower in volume, couldn't even have like a low pass filter on them, and then we'll slowly build up. So definitely pretty cool, and we'll get back to the song now. All right, so that's pretty interesting. You kind of had like the bass sounds playing on the bottom, and then you kind of had strings kind of playing on top, and then you kind of had the percussion slowly kind of building up, and then you kind of had a white noise transition noise, and then the strings kind of go away, replaced with another sound in that section, and then you kind of have the bass still building up, and then you kind of have the kind of winding up like dun, 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 kind of that sound kind of building up with kind of a white noise kind of sound, riser building up into the tension. And then there's going to be kind of a gap in space where I believe a vocal sample is going to play into the drop, but we'll definitely listen to that now, and I'll break down this drop section as best as I can after it finishes.
Get on it.
Wow, so that was the first drop. I can't remember if it's sectioned into two different parts, but I mean, wow. There was a lot going on in that section. So to start off, the rhythm for the percussion was actually not super complex. And the reason for that being is that there are a lot of other sounds happening. So if you had a really more complex percussion section in that drop, it might take away from a lot of the sounds that are being played. So you kind of hear kind of a kick, some hi-hats and a snare, and it sounds like a more simple rhythm. But also there's like a lot of different glitching sounds, and in glitch hop, there was kind of like that and kind of different sounds. But what glitch hop and I believe Complextro kind of have in common is you kind of notice how a lot of the sounds are almost like a call and response to each other. Like the whole section is just like one sound plays, another sound responds, and then one sound plays and another sound responds within this kind of like whole section between wubs, vocal samples, and maybe like a lead thrown in there. Like you just kind of notice that whole section kind of, is almost like a call and response section, like kind of over and over and over, which I mean, I like call and response sections in songs. So for me, that's kind of nice. Like one wub sound plays, and then like maybe another wub sound kind of answers what that wub sound was playing. So it's definitely a really cool concept within certain glitch hop songs and Complextro songs. But with the sound design that Au5 and Fractal have, they have a more unique sound design kind of paired with different samples in between the song. And the percussion's pretty simple, and overall the mix is really clean. And a lot of the samples are kind of a mix between sound design sounds and audio samples from right here, kind of like bass sounds, and there is a bass line also playing on the bottom, but it sounds like a kind of a mix between more low end kind of bass wubs playing along with different kind of synths and audio samples kind of playing as well. So it's a really more unique style glitch hop. And for me, I guess not making the song, it's a little bit tougher to break down unless, I stop the drop at every 10 seconds. So this is probably my best analysis of the drop, but you could just tell overall with how much was going on, like the percussion pretty much was able to shine through and keep the flow and the rhythm, which is really key in these songs, because with so much going on, it's really hard to make this mix really clean as Au5 and Fractal do. So they are really talented artists that are able to do that. So let's continue with this song. All right, so I like this section here. You kind of have that that kind of vocal sample, and you kind of have the strings playing, and it's kind of like a nice break section, kind of building up into the more melodic section, maybe of this drop, or kind of like a new part of the drop. But it's kind of like a nice break section, kind of emphasizing the vocal chop, and the orchestral section kind of building it up. Kind of just with those two sounds, with a few other, white noise risers in there just to kind of bring up the tension, and then some percussionary transition sounds to go into that sound. But just the use of the two sounds in this section is really nice. So yeah, very, very nice use of those sounds. So now we'll listen to this section of this song. Alright, that section is really cool. So you have the lead sound kind of being introduced as the percussion is being transitioned in the beginning, and then you kind of have that bass sound kind of playing, like go go, and that's like a very more unique Au5 and Fractal sound. You kind of have like a downlifting sound in the background going, and then you kind of have later in that section kind of a sound going whip whip, kind of like a sound playing on the offbeats, kind of like a laser sounding sound, kind of just kind of playing in the background to give an extra, flow to the mix, and to just add a new component to the mix, which is really cool because for this melodic section it's really cool to see. And those bass sounds that you hear in this section is a signature sound between Au5 and Fractal, whether they're together or making songs on their own. That's kind of a more signature kind of bass sound you hear from both artists, at least from this time period. So it's really cool. You can really tell that both their styles are on display in the song. So it's a really nice blend, and you'll continue here with this kind of more melodic section, which is really cool. So let's keep going. All right, wow, that section was really cool. So the melody, the lead melody, I think varied a little bit between this section and the last kind of synth playing section, and then it kind of has the bass sound still kind of playing, and then the vocal chops kind of come in every once in a while. This section's pretty cool. You kind of hear the percussion shine through with the hi-hats and stuff, and the kicks and the snares, but it's just kind of like a nice melodic section. And then towards the end of this section is pretty cool. So like the lead sound kind of filters out and fades out almost like, and then the string sound kind of replaces it before the all the sounds kind of drop down, and then most of the sounds are filtered to kind of go into this kind of breakish build-up section again. So it's really cool, kind of that transition between that kind of lead sound into that kind of string sound again, just kind of filtering one sound out and then kind of reintroducing one sound again right before the end of that kind of lead drop section. So it's really cool, and with the percussionary transitionary percussion, it really does help transition that section. So definitely a really cool way to transition out a song. I don't know if I've heard many songs that introduce like another sound right before the end of a drop before, quite like that, where they fade it out and then kind of introduce that sound right before the drop ends. So definitely a really cool, unique way to end the drop. So let's get back to the song now and see how it builds back up into the second drop or third drop. All right, in this section for this build up, it's a little bit different than what you heard the last time, kind of building up with the vocal sample kind of in that gap that said like get on it. This time there's not really a gap and there's no real vocal sample really saying that. It's just kind of like a synth sound kind of playing, kind of replacing that instead, and it's just kind of going into a varied build up here. So pretty cool. The filtering's pretty similar in how it built up, and with the riser and kind of the percussion in that way, but just not having that audio sample kind of thrown in there before the drop is a little bit more unique, and just kind of how it's structured. So that's definitely pretty cool, and I believe I would almost call this like the third drop. So let's get into the third drop.
Get on it.
so just listen to this drop section. These sounds used, kind of like the wubs in this section, and just the sound design and the overall feel of the section is more of like an Au5 section. So Au5 uses a lot of wubs that kind of sound like this in his even more current songs now, although now it's a little bit more refined and modern and technically maybe sound even better than how it did in this song. You can still tell like that's his unique kind of wub sound, just from this section. Like this is his unique, very sound design sound. So if you, at least for someone like me, if you were to show this section to a person like me that listens to Au5 and Fractal's music, like I could tell you like, oh yeah, this is definitely like a part Au5 had a heavy influence on in this collab. Like you can hear his sound design, like all the wubs and just the placement of all the wubs and the structure of this drop itself. So definitely an Au5 heavy section. But you notice like even though it's really kind of wubby and more kind of in the Nero style, or kind of like dubstep as well, there's kind of like a call and response section here, because you kind of hear the wubs, and then every once in a while at the end of the phrase you hear the dun 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 dun, kind of like ARP kind of lead like that, which is really cool. That's kind of what I like about glitch hop and complextro if done right, where it kind of has like a lot of wubs, but then there's kind of like a lead section or kind of maybe a little ARP kind of to lead back into like a more rhythmic section of the drop, and then goes back into like the wubs. I don't know, for me that's just kind of like a nice calm response section there. Gives some variation within the drop, but still kind of like acknowledges the more melodic and kind of root note of what the song kind of started with, like in terms of like either a chord progression or like a lead sound. So I always like the kind of hard wub sound, and then kind of at the end of the vocal phrase like a little ARP or like a callback to like the chord progression or lead. So that's definitely always really cool within like complextro and glitch hop songs if they're done correctly. So definitely really cool. Again, within that section you could tell the mix was really clean, with as much as that was going on. Like there are a lot of different wubs going on, but definitely you could hear how clean the mix was. So we'll listen to this next part of this drop, this third drop. So let's go. Alright, so in this section of the drop, you kind of notice the percussion like almost feels like it's swinging a little bit, like it sounds like the synths or the wubs are playing, and then the percussion is almost stopping with it when the notes stop, which is kind of nice. I don't know exactly if the rhythm changes that much, but just kind of like the overall feel of like the notation of the notes, like how short the notes are and like the way it's structured, it just feels like there's more of like a swing to the section and more like glitching or stops in this section, which is really cool. I love it when you can kind of vary the percussion within the song without actually having to really vary the percussion that much, like change the notation or kind of increase the percussion in the drop, or give an emphasis somewhere else other than the percussion itself. I mean, sometimes you need that emphasis on the percussion to kind of have a kind of a glitching effect, but here, at least to me, it didn't sound like the percussion changed all that much. It just sounded like there was more note variation to make it kind of like have the notes kind of staccato or stop faster and kind of have that kind of glitching almost effect. So it's really cool. It's a really nice drop and has a lot going on, as I said, but it's a really nice little effect kind of within the drop. So definitely pretty cool, and we'll keep continuing. I just kind of want to acknowledge that kind of build up section before this kind of final drop section. Kind of reintroduce that lead sound, that kind of guitar pluck sound, and then kind of had the vocal sample kind of play from the beginning, and then kind of had a nice white noise kind of sweep into this section of the drop. So we'll get back into this section of the drop and go from there. Alright, that is Au5 and Fractal's song Pavonine. So the outro of the song is really cool. You kind of get more of a focus on that guitar sound. The vocal chop does play, but it's a little bit more reverbed. But that guitar sound plays, and actually it almost sounds like a live guitar, like someone actually playing like and recorded a live electric guitar. Because I've made an electric guitar through a synth using, virtual distortion and a virtual synth, but just the way that guitar sound plucked sounded almost like a recorded electric guitar, recorded either by a microphone or straight into a music in like a hardware interface, a music interface, kind of like where you would plug in a guitar and it can record through there into your DAW. Through your electric guitar. Either way, it sounds more like a recorded real electric guitar than it does a synth sound. So that's definitely really cool. That's a nice touch to the guitar sound in the song, even though it was maybe cut up and sampled a little bit differently. I think the root sound of that guitar is an actual electric guitar. So definitely a really cool song. I mean, overall, Pavonine is really one of those songs I love to listen to from Au5 and Fractal amongst like their discography individually and together. Like, you can't really go wrong with an Au5 song or a Fractal song or an Au5 and Fractal song collab together. So either way, like, their songs are always really enjoyable to listen to. You don't really hear Au5 and Fractal make glitch hop too often. I think they made one song before this. I can't remember if the name of the song was Singularity. It was pretty similar to this song Pavonine. Pavonine is like their first version, their first glitch hop song. This is like the 2.0 version of that. But definitely, you could tell this is Au5 and Fractal style. With all the different wubs, it's always amazing how, with so much going on in terms of sounds and percussion, that they're able to really have a clean mix all throughout the whole song, which is amazing to me, and just have that flow and feel. And I don't know, they're just really masters of mixing and sound design, because their sounds is so unique. Like, you could tell straight off the bat if you listen to their music pretty often that that's an Au5 song, that's a Fractal song. It's just so unique that like you just have to like spend a lot of time, understanding the craft of making music and sound design. So it's definitely really awesome to always listen to their music. The quality is always going to be there. And if you guys have not listened to Au5 or Fractal's music or both of their collab songs together, you guys should definitely do that. You will be pleasantly impressed. They don't always make songs that are really heavy with glitching and wubs. And I mean, one of my favorites is their house song called Dreaming on their Secret Weapons EP. And ooh, that's a really good house song that I never thought Au5 and Fractal would ever make. So definitely one of the classics among classics. So overall, I hope you guys like this breakdown analysis video. I'm sorry I couldn't go too much into the technical aspects of the song. I could assume a lot of what the wubs and sounds were made of, but it's a little bit too hard, at least for me, to tell what's going on in terms of breaking down the song. I'd be stopping the song every like 4 seconds if I was going to break down each individual sound that I hear within this song, and this video might be like an hour long. So I don't know if you guys would want to watch an hour long of me trying to analyze what I think Au5 and Fractal did for each, individual wub sound. But hopefully you guys got a general idea of kind of Au5 style and Fractal style when they collab with their songs, and just the overall kind of techniques they used. Not exactly, the nitty-gritty kind of technical techniques for their wubs, but just kind of like the overall basic structure of how they structured their wubs and just the flow of the song. So overall, I hope you guys, learned something. If you guys like the video or dislike the video, feel free to leave a comment. If you guys really do want me to, pause more frequently and break down what I think each wub and sound is in a future kind of glitch hop song or Au5 Fractal song, then let me know. I'll try and do that if you guys really want it, but just be warned that the video might be like an hour long. So again, all the songs, much like Pavonine, are going to be found in my playlist for the original songs. There's also this possible future APA songs. This is just a playlist I use for myself to structure all the songs that I want to make for the APA videos. I mean, there's so many songs that sometimes I just kind of have to scale it down into this playlist. So this playlist is public, but I mean, if you want to know what a future video might be or a future song might be, then you can look on this playlist. But all these songs will either be in the description of this video or in the original songs playlist for my APA channel. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown analysis video, and have a good one. Peace.